Okay. Okay. Good morning, guys. Hope you had a wonderful night. So, in today's class, we'll continue on HTML and we'll be learning about HTML video and audio elements. So, as we all know, when you visit a website or a web page, you probably see videos, listen to audios, you go on your favorite on websites and listen to your favorite music without downloading them at first. So the HTML video and audio elements are what enable those kind of functionalities on those websites or web pages you visit. So that's what today's class will be all about. So in today's content, we have two sections, like I said, the HTML video element and the HTML audio element. So under the first section, which is HTML video element, we have what is HTML video element. So in that part, I would be talking about what exactly the video element is and how it enables you to, embed a video on a web page. Also, we'll be seeing the syntax of the video element and also the attributes of the video element. We treated attributes in some other tags in the previous classes, and we saw how important these attributes are. Without them, the tag can't really do a lot. So, also in the second section, which is the HTML audio element, we would see what the audio element is, like what defines the tag, and also the syntax, and would also see the attributes of the HTML audio element. So let's move on to the next section. Yeah, HTML video element. So what is HTML video element? An HTML video element is used to embed a video content into an HTML document without the need of any extra plugin. So, like I said before, the HTML video element is what enables you to embed a video content within a web page, a website, an HTML document. It's basically what makes the whole process of playing the videos on your website function. Without the video element, I don't think there's any element that would enable you to perform that kind of task. And also, as you can see on the screen, it said without the need of any extra plugin. So I think back in the day, before you could play a video on a website, you would need some plugins. It's like a browser support. I think one of the popular ones then was Flash Player. So without that plugin, you couldn't play a video on a website. But now with HTML video elements, the plugins are not needed anymore. You just put the video content, the location within the tags, and then you would see a video render on the browser. So different browsers have different support for the video elements. However, there are three major formats that are currently supported for the HTML video elements. These formats are the MP4 format. I think many of us are conversant with this one. Your videos, movies, WhatsApp videos, most videos are just in that format, MP4. It's a very common video extension. Then the second supported format is the .ogg format. So based on some quick research I had done, the OGG format is quite old. So I don't know if there are still videos that still use, this particular extension. But even if they still exist, they are still supported by most web browsers. And lastly, we have the WebM format. I think this particular one occurs a lot in some movie downloads because I've seen, the .webm extension before. and it most times comes with some movies. So like I said earlier, the different browsers have different support for the video elements. So we have the various browsers: Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Firefox. Some of these browsers, they all have support for each of these formats. But at the same time, some browsers do not support some of these formats. So I think the Safari browser, that's the browser on the iPhone, it doesn't support the .ogg format. So that basically means if on your web page you have a video that uses the .ogg extension, and someone visits that web page on an iPhone, he won't be able to see the video because the browser doesn't support that format. But as for the MP4 and the WebM, they are supported by all browsers, all. So let's move on. Yes, so as we can see, this is the syntax of the video element. So the syntax here, you can see it has three attributes. The source attribute, which can be found in the image element, that's in what we learned yesterday. Then it also had the width attribute and also the height attribute. So we'll learn more of these attributes as we go on, but just know this: the video element isn't limited to these three attributes. There are more attributes that are within the video element, but due to the screen size, I just decided to make the video element stand on one line with just those three attributes at first. So when we get to the attribute section, you would see more attributes about the video element. So yeah, in this section we would see the attributes of the HTML video element. So you know what the attributes are? They are what enables the element to work better. you know they are basically they are like the functionalities of the elements. Without them, the element can't do anything. So yes, these are the attributes of the HTML video element. As we can see on the screen, there are 9 attributes. So on the first column, we can see the source attribute, the height attribute, and the width attribute. So these three attributes were what we saw in the syntax. So from the middle to the right are the other attributes that did not appear on that syntax, which are also important too. You can see the controls attribute, the autoplay attribute, the muted attribute, the poster attribute, the preload attribute, and the loop attribute. Now, in most attributes we've seen so far, most of them have values attached to them. For instance, in the input tag, you have name is equals to a particular value. But here in the video element, some of these attributes are actually standalone attributes. By that, I mean they don't have any values attached to them. So for you to enable these attributes on the video, you would need to just add the attribute name, and that's all. So we'll see more of that in the actual coding. So let's move. So we have the very first attribute, which is the source attribute. So the source attribute specifies the location of the video content to be included in the HTML document. So we all know what the source attribute is, and we also know that this attribute also appears in the image element. So you can see that some specific tags have similar attributes, and that attribute in both tags still works the same way. So in the image tag that we saw yesterday, we can see that the source attribute specifies the location of the image, and in today's class, the source attribute also specifies the location of the video. So that's basically the function of the source attribute. within the video element. So let's move. Secondly, we have the height attribute. The height attribute specifies the height of the video content in pixels. So you can imagine what the height attribute can actually do. It can actually make the video look bigger or smaller than its regular size. So the height attribute specifies the height of the video. Now the height attribute has a unit which is in pixels. Many of us might not really know this, but when we get to the styling, that's CSS, we'll talk more about units of display. So the pixel here is a unit of display. So the pixel is the unit of display for the height attribute. So let's move on. Next, we have the width attribute. Of course, you know what width means is actually the opposite of height. So the height basically increases the video from top to bottom, that's vertically, and the width is horizontally from left to right. It can either increase it or reduce it. So the width attribute specifies the width of the video display also in pixels too. So like I said before, the pixel is actually a unit of display. We won't really be focusing on that now because we've not really entered CSS at all. But when we get there, you understand more about the pixels. Next, we have the controls attribute. So this particular attribute is very, very important. So the controls attribute displays video controls that enables the user to perform functions like pause, play, and mute. So many of us, I don't, of course, everyone has at least seen a video. I don't think there's anybody that has never seen a video before. So in every video you've ever seen, you would always see a play button, a pause button. Most times the play and the pause button are actually within the same space on the screen. It's just like one button replacing the other. So if you press play, the pause button would be what will appear as the next action, and if you press pause, the play button appears. Also, we have the mute button, which is used to cancel the sound of the video. Some of these buttons are actually important, and without this control attribute, you would basically just see a video without a pause button, a play button, a mute button. In fact, the video would look like an actual picture. You won't even know it's a video until you add this attribute. That's why this attribute is very important. Next, we have the autoplay attribute. The autoplay attribute ensures that the video plays instantly once rendered on the browser. So by the word autoplay, you would know that it's something that works automatically. That means you don't really have to perform any action before it starts working. It just works on its own. So the autoplay attribute enables the video to play on its own without pressing the play button. So the moment you render it on the browser, the video just begins. It just starts. So that's about the autoplay attribute. Next, we have the muted attribute. So the muted attribute ensures that the audio of the video content is muted. So this particular attribute does the function of cancelling the sound of the video. And by doing so, if you enable this attribute, the moment the video is rendered on the browser, that means it shows on the screen, it's not going to begin with a sound. Yes, you might be able to play it, you might see it, but it's not going to begin with a sound at all. So that's what the muted attribute does. It also works automatically just like the autoplay attribute. Next, we have the loop attribute. The loop attribute ensures that the video plays again upon reaching the end. So, by the word loop, it just basically means it's going over and over and over and over again. That's what the word loop means. So, this loop attribute ensures that the video keeps playing even after it gets to the end, it begins at the starting line again. So, the video would just keep playing over and over and over and over until you decide to take any action on the video. Next, we have the preload attribute. So the preload attribute specifies the owner's view on what's best to improve the user experience. So this preload attribute is quite technical because like we heard earlier, different browsers have different support for the video format. So for instance, maybe a particular video, the owner of the video wants the video to play instantaneously. He just uses the preload attributes and he would set it to a default value that will enable that to happen. The owner of the video could also set the preload attribute to enable the downloading of the metadata of the video. So the metadata is basically some important info about the video, but we won't really, go into that here. But just know that the preload attribute is something that is just put there to improve the user experience depending on the browser the person is actually using to view that web page. So yeah, lastly, we have the poster attribute. So the poster attribute displays an image to preview before the video is played by a user. So the poster attribute, you know, is used to show a picture of the video. So that means when you visit the video for the first time, you wouldn't see the play button yet. You'll just see a picture, probably something to depict that, okay, this is the video that is about to be shown. But the moment you play that video, the image disappears and your video starts. It's like when you visit YouTube, when you go on YouTube, you would see pi- pictures of different videos. So this poster attribute is what enables that to happen. And when you click on that video, you would notice that the picture won't appear anymore. The video just begins playing from where it starts. So that's what the poster attribute is used for. So yeah, this is a quick example of the actual coding we'll be doing on VS Code. So I hope you all are seeing this. I hope it's not small. But for those who are not seeing this enough, no problem. When I get into Visual Studio, you would see it better and you will see how all these attributes are functioning within the video element. So let's quickly do that. So we'd open a folder. Yeah. So now, mind you, the folder I just opened actually has a video inside. So, like I said from yesterday's class, with those that had issues with, the image not showing on the screen. So, from what I said, it's better you put the image and the HTML document in the same location. So that way you would be able to reference it by the image name. So we are also going to do that. So this folder actually has a video inside. So I'll just need to create my HTML document here. We'll call this index.html. So for the sake of those that doesn't know how to use the boilerplate, I'll be typing out the HTML tag pure and manually. So we'll start with the doc type, then the HTML. So the tag that follows the head tag. Okay, the head, the body tag below it. So within the head tag, we are going to have the title. That's the title of the document. So we'll call this, let's just call it video document. Okay, let me add one meta tag. The meta tags are quite important, but for the sake of this tutorial, we'll focus more on the video elements. So, just yeah, so I think we are set. So within the body tag, we would have the video element. So we would have the very first attribute, which is the source attribute. So like I said before, the source attribute defines the location of the video. So since we are in the same folder, we don't need to go through different parts. We just reference it by the video name dot np4. Yeah, so this is it. So if we save this and open with our live server, now you can see this. Now this is an actual video, but like I said before, if the control attribute is not within the video element, it's going to look like a picture. So someone seeing this for the first time might think is an actual picture, but not knowing this is an actual video. So we would add other attributes that would make this work. I would also reduce the width and the height of the video because it's really large on the screen. So first we'd add the controls attributes. Then okay, let's save this and let's see. So if we save this, we'll go back to the live server. Now you can see the control attributes appear on the video. So now it's very obvious that this is an actual video and not an image. So now you can see how important these attributes are, especially the control attributes. It's like that particular attribute is what defines it as an actual video. Without that attribute, it would look like a photo. You would think it's just an actual picture, but it's not a picture, it's a video. So as you can see the play button, the sound button, the button to enlarge the video, that's to make it full screen, and then some other menu. So next we would reduce the height of the video with the height attribute. Let's say height equals to 250 pixels. So the pixel that we talked about before, the unit is actually in px, so that's 250 px. Would also add a width to it. The width would also be 250 px since both the height and the width have their dimensions to be in the units of pixels. So if we save this and go back to the live server, you can see now that the video is smaller than the actual size it was. So the height and the width attributes actually very important to make the video look much better on the website, because it would look so odd that your video could actually span through an entire page, that's from the top to the bottom, and you would even need to scroll down to view the video. It won't look nice. And also, I don't think any website have their videos ever looking like that. So it's better you have the entire video fixed within the entire screen at that moment. So let's add some other tags too, or we could just play the video and see if it works. So if we go back and we play this, okay, it's so loud. Yeah, so you can see the video is actually playing on the screen. So that's why the video element is very important to play and render videos on your HTML documents. So let's pause this now and go back and try out other attributes that we saw today. So let's try out the autoplay attributes. If you add this, and like I said before, you can notice that the autoplay attributes and the controls attributes, they are quite different from the source, the height, and the width attribute. So I said before that some particular attributes do not have any value assigned to them. They are standalone attributes. So you can see the controls attribute is not assigned any value. It's just on its own, and it's defining the function it's meant to, provide. Same with the autoplay attribute. It's a standalone attribute on its own. No value is attached to it, unlike the source, the height, and the width. So I hope you all understand. So let's save this. Okay, okay, the video seems too loud. But then, if you noticed very well, when I saved this VS, this index.html on my VS Code, you could hear the sound of the video play. So that's the work of the autoplay attribute. If I save this again, you can hear the sound of the video. So that's the autoplay attribute at work. So instantaneously, even before you visit the website or the web browser, the video just starts playing. So that's what the autoplay attribute actually does. So let's remove this and add another attribute. So let's try the muted attribute. So if we also save this and go back, you can see that on its own, it already cancels the sound without us touching this button. The sound is already cancelled. So that's the muted attribute at work. That's its function. That's what it's used for. So probably you want to play a video, but you don't want the sound to come out initially. You could just use the muted attribute within the video element and it will give you this result. So if we go back to our code, let's remove this. What attribute did we? Okay, yeah, the preload attribute. So we said the preload attribute is used to improve the experience of the user depending on the owner's perspective. So for now, the video doesn't have, metadata it could download. But then you can see the different values for the preload attribute. We have the auto meta download metadata or none. So the metadata is if we enable this in the preload attribute, the moment you go back to the browser, the first thing the browser does before playing the video for you is to download the metadata. That's the important information about the video, probably the video name, the extension, the person who uploaded it. All those metadata will be downloaded by the browser before you can actually see the video. And surprisingly, it doesn't take time. So when you get to the web browser, you could actually just click on the play button and the video starts playing. But before you played it, the information was already downloaded within a second. So the browser just had everything it needed at that point in time. And also, if we set the preload attribute to auto, The auto value here enables the browser to download the video like a particular length. So the video will be downloaded to a particular length, not the entire video per se. But by enabling this auto value, the moment you begin to play the video starts instantaneously without any download. So if the auto attribute, I mean the auto value isn't on the preload attribute, you wouldn't see any length that has been downloaded. So the moment you play the video just starts downloading at that point in time. So that's why the auto attribute is also important. So let's see if we could, notice a difference. So if we save this with the preload attribute assigned to auto and go back to the video, okay, let's refresh this page. Okay, so normally when you refresh this, you would see that the video would be downloaded from the beginning to a certain length, probably from the start length to probably this length here at first. But I think because we've played the video over and over again and it's a very short video, so that's why it's downloaded completely. So, but then if we set the preload attribute to none, is also another value. The video won't be downloaded once you visit the web browser. So until the moment you click on the play button, the video will be downloaded. The video will just start downloading the moment you press that play button. I think the preload equals to none is probably used on YouTube, because when you visit YouTube and you probably want to see a video for the very first time, the video doesn't start until you click on the play button. Although there are some instances also on YouTube, even before you click on the play button, you would see that the video has actually downloaded to some point. So that's the difference between the auto and the non value for the preload attribute. So that's what they do. The auto value would enable the video to be downloaded to some point. It's probably a very, very small length. But with the non value attached to the preload attribute, the video won't be downloaded at all up until the moment you decide to play that video. So that's how it works. So I think the last attribute to talk about is the poster attribute. So let's remove this. Okay. Okay, so currently at the moment I don't have a picture yet. So I'm going to copy a picture into this same folder and I will show you how the poster attribute actually works. So open this. Okay. Okay, where do I get pictures from? Okay, let me get a picture. Copy. Okay, we'll save this here. So now we have a picture within the folder. So I would rename this photo. Okay, cancel this. Okay, let's call this food.png. Save. So now we are not, for the purpose of this class, we are not really going to use a video that would be depicting something about Christmas. But I'm just trying to use this picture to make you understand how the poster attribute works. So now that we have the picture there, I would type out the poster attributes and would assign to it the image name, which is food.png. So if we save this and open with live server, now you can see the image actually appears on the video. So probably if you want to show a preview of what the video is about and you have a picture, you can use the poster attribute to display the video like this. So until the user actually clicks on the play button, the video would stay there dormant, not doing anything. But the moment a user presses the play button, the image is gone. Yeah, so the image just disappears and then the video begins. So that's what the poster attribute is used for. And like I said before, if you want to really see an example of this, you can go on YouTube and look at videos. You would notice that they all have a picture, surrounding the entire video clip. So the moment you press the play button, the picture just goes and your video begins. So I think that's that for video elements, and I hope we all understand how the video elements works, the various attributes that serve their different functions within the video element. So let's move on to the audio element. So here we are in the next section, which is the HTML audio element. So the you of course you would know what the audio element is for from the video. This particular element enables you to embed an audio file on your website. So it's the element that enables you to listen to your favorite music on a website you visit before actually downloading that song. So what is HTML audio element? An HTML audio element is used to embed a video content into an HTML document without the need of any extra plugin. So, like I said before, back in the day, before you could play a video or an audio on a website, you would need what is called a plugin. Now, this plugin is like a browser support to enable the content of video and audio to be displayed on your website. So without the plugin, as at that time, that's then probably in the year 2000 or thereabouts, then it wasn't possible without the plugin. But now HTML video elements enables you to embed a video on your HTML document without that plugin, as well as the HTML audio element too. It does the same thing, but just with the audio file. So yeah, also the different browsers have their different support for the audio element. However, there are three major formats that are currently supported for the HTML audio element. These formats are the MP3 format. I think that's the most popular one. All your musics, your videos, oh sorry, I said videos, your music, your songs, most of them are in MP3 format except for some, recordings. And the second format is also the WAV format. That I'm not really conversant about, but I know the MP3 happens to be the most popular one and is the most used format. And also the OGG format. So you can see that the OGG format also extends from video to audio, likewise the MP4 and the MP3. So these formats are the formats supported by web browsers, and each of these browsers have their own specific way of supporting this format. So looking at this format, one can tell that the MP3 format, being the most popular format in this time and in this modern day, happens to be the most supported format. As for the WAV format and the OGG format, I don't think I've ever listened to any form of sound that has this extension. But I know the MP3 format is very, very popular. So everybody has seen this, has heard something with this extension before. So let's move on to the syntax. So here we have the syntax of the HTML audio element. You can see that the audio element is a multi-tag and it also has the source attribute. So now you can see that the source attribute appears in three different elements: the image element, the video element, and now the audio element. And despite the fact that it cuts across these elements, it serves the same function in each of them. So it's not doing anything different. The source attribute here also serves the function of specifying the location of the audio file you want to play. Also, we can see another attribute, the controls attribute that we saw before from the video element. So one can tell what this attribute actually does. Yes, it actually does the same thing it does in the video element, which is to provide controls that enables you to perform functions like playing, pausing, going to the next what's it called, the next audio and other stuff like that. And also we can see on the screen the autoplay attributes within the audio element. So it also does the same thing it does in the video element. So here we'll be diving into the attributes of the HTML audio elements. We'll be seeing that soon. So yes, as you can see on the screen, these are the attributes of the HTML audio element. And you can see that there are fewer attributes than the video element. The video element has 9 attributes, while the audio element has 6 attributes. And I'm guessing the audio element has fewer because the 3 attributes that appear in the video element that are not in the audio element are the height attribute, the width attribute, and the poster attribute. So you should know that it actually makes sense for the audio element to have just 6, because an audio doesn't have any height, neither does the audio have any width. And the audio also doesn't need a poster because you are listening to sound. So you don't need an image to, cover the sound. You don't need that. Like, that's not even possible to have an image that would cover the sound. So now somebody out there might be wondering, but there are some videos that actually play as audios, that kind of video, doesn't it use the poster element? Well, no, it doesn't. Now, I understand that you've probably seen a video that just has a picture, but it plays a particular audio on the background. By that, I mean you probably downloaded an audio, but then it appears in a way like a video, not like an actual video, but it has a picture that is being displayed, and also it has, the audio playing on the background without the picture moving. The picture is just static. Now, that kind of, format is actually a video format. By that, I mean it's actually a video content, but with an audio embedded in it. So you can't really call that an audio, that's an actual video. So don't get, confused. So, like I said before, it's an easy thing to understand. You understand what a video content is. It's basically a moving, series of pictures. But then You could also see that sometimes when you download some particular videos, they just have a particular picture on the background with the song playing on its own without the picture moving. Now that kind of, you know, content cannot really be called an audio content. It will be classified as a video, you know. So I hope everybody understands why the poster attribute is not within, the audio element. And like I said, if you've ever seen any content like that that has a picture on the screen but with the audio playing on the background, it's classified as a video and not an audio. I think if you check that particular content very well, you would see it saved as MP4 and not MP3. So let's move on. So we have the source attribute. Of course, we've talked about this before. The source attribute specifies the location of the audio file to be included in the HTML document. So the source attribute basically does the same thing it does in the video element, specifying the location, and you need to reference it also by the name of the audio. Next, we have the controls attribute. So the controls attribute displays the audio control that enable the user to perform functions like pause, play, and mute. So we saw how important this, control attribute is. Without it on the video element, the video is going to look like an actual photo, an image. That's why the control attribute is very important for the video as well as the audio. Also, we can see that the autoplay attribute is also present in the audio element. The autoplay attribute ensures that that the audio plays instantly once rendered on the browser. So I think that's an error, but we all understand what the autoplay attribute does. It does the same function as in the video and also in the audio. Next, we have the loop attribute. So this attribute ensures that the audio plays again upon reaching the end. So we already understood this from the video element. It basically makes the sound to keep playing over and over and over and over until the user performs a function of stopping it or cancelling the whole audio. Yes, the muted attribute also. So the muted attribute ensures that the audio is put to a silent state. So now the muted attribute does the same function as it performs in the video element. So it just basically, when enabled, you wouldn't hear a sound, but your audio would actually be playing on the background. So lastly, we have the preload attribute. Now, like I said before, this attribute is quite technical because the values for this attribute are going to be determined by the owner of the audio. So if the owner of the audio wants a particular length of the audio to be downloaded the moment you visit the web browser, he would enable the preload attribute to auto, or else if he wants the audio to be downloaded at the moment you click the play button, the preload attribute will be on none. And I think the third value, which is the metadata, like I said before, that actually contains important information about the audio. So if the owner wants the browser to download those data about the audio at the moment it is rendered on the browser, we would enable that to metadata. So now on the screen we can see a picture of how the HTML audio element appears. That's with the HTML boilerplate. So you can see the audio, it has the source, the controls, and the preload. So for those that are not really seeing this, because I got a lot of complaint yesterday that the image was quite small. So not to worry, we'll go into the coding of the audio element and you would see it better. So let's do that right away. So we are back to our VS Code. Would create a new file. Let's call this sound HTML. So let's start block type. We'll do this manually. HTML. We have the head. We also have the body below the head. Let's add the meta tag first. Meta. So I hope you all know that this particular meta tag I'm adding is not the only meta tag that exists. There are up to four, five, or six of them. So those meta tags will be important when you get to do real world projects. But for the sake of this class, we won't really be diving into meta tags. That's why I don't add all of them except from this one. We have the audio. So first we have the source attribute with the audio name cultural.mp3. So let's save this and see how it looks like on the browser. Wow. So you can see the browser is empty, nothing appears here. And I think that's because we've not added the control attributes yet. Because unlike the video content, without the control attribute, the video would look like an image. But for the audio element, it's even worse. That means the audio wouldn't even be displayed at all. Of course, the audio is a sound, so there would be nothing to even tell you that, oh, there's an actual sound on this image, on this browser that's on the screen. So let's go back and add the controls attributes, which is also a standalone attribute since there's no values attached to it. So we'll save this and go back. And now you can see the video appears on the screen. So now it is very obvious that there's a sound content within this web page. So you can see that the control attribute is just as important as within the video element as also in the audio element too. It's very important in both elements. Without it in the video would look like an image. But without it in the audio wouldn't even show at all. The the page would just look blank. It would be like there was no sound content inside. So let's play this. So okay, I think this is also loud too. Yeah, so I believe we are all hearing the sound of the audio content we've embedded on this HTML document. So this is what the audio elements helps you to do. So let's pause this and go back and try out other attributes. So the next attribute we'll try out is the autoplay attribute. So if we save this, the sound of the audio is meant to play instantaneously even before we visit the web browser. So yeah, I hope you all are hearing. You can hear the sound now. So it's actually going to play this way with this attribute enabled on it. So let's cancel this. So let's try another attribute also, the muted attribute. So for this one, if we save this, the audio would actually play on the page, but we won't hear any sound at all. So I've saved it. So right now the audio is playing, but with no sound. So if we should go back to visit our web browser, you can okay, it stopped just now. Let's reload this. Save this again. So now the audio would play, but without any sound. So okay, okay, yeah. So you can see that the video is actually muted. Oh, sorry, I thought the audio would play. It didn't. But then you can see that the video is muted automatically without us coming here to mute it. So that's what the muted attributes actually does. So I think I was still, talking about the autoplay attributes. Sorry. So next we'll have the loop attribute. So this one basically enables the audio to keep playing over and over and over again upon reaching the end. So normally I would have loved for us to, listen to the audio to the very end, but I think it's an 8 minutes audio, so I don't think we'd be chance to do that. But let's just try to reach the end and see what happens. So play this. Wait, okay, we'll use the sound. Okay, so let's go somewhere close to the end. Yeah. So now the audio is about to end. At the very end, it begins again. So that's what the loop attribute actually does. So I hope we all understood that. And also, I think I didn't show these attributes in the video element. Yes, now I remember. But not to worry, exactly what happens with the audio is also what happens with the video. So when the video gets to the very end, it also starts from the beginning again. So let's try out another attribute. So, like I said before, the preload attribute. So this attribute is just basically here to, improve the user experience according to how the owner of the audio wants it. So if the owner of the audio wants a particular length of the audio to be downloaded immediately your website is open or immediately rendered it on the browser, you would set the preload to auto. Or else, if you want the download of the song to happen the moment the user places the play button, this will be set to none. And like I said, also the metadata, is it downloads, is about the information of the audio. So setting the preload to metadata would enable you to download any important info about that audio. For now, we don't have any metadata on this audio. Likewise, the video. That's why we didn't really see an example of that. But I hope you understand what each of these values actually mean to the preload attribute. So, is there any other attribute we haven't tried? There are six of them. So, I think we are left with one more. Okay, yeah, so I think that's all. The source, the control attribute, the preload, the muted, the autoplay, and the loop attribute. So, yeah, so that's it for HTML audio elements. So, those are the attributes that are needed to make the, elements function and work. So, let's go back. Yeah, so before we move to this section, let me just go back to the VS Code and explain something. So you can notice now that the audio as well as the video, they are both multi-tags. And by that we mean they actually have a space in between themselves where information could go into. You can see there's a space here. If I press the enter, you can see that the video is a multi-tag. Also, likewise, the audio too. So I know somebody might be wondering, it's a multi-tag, and since there's a space there, you know, won't some text go into, the tags? Yes, some text could actually go into each of these elements, but the text that would go into these elements would be a text to tell the user who is visiting the web page that the particular video format or audio format of that content is not supported by the browser. So by that I mean, if we should go back to, you know, the file with our video element, most times within the video tag you would have a text that looks like this. This content is not supported by your browser. Okay, let's just say the browser. Now you can see that we have a text within the video element. By that I mean the opening tag and the close tag. So if we save this and open with live server, you can see that the text doesn't appear on the screen. And why is because the particular browser we are using now, I think for this it's yes, Microsoft Edge. This particular browser supports the video format of this video we're about to play. So because the browser supports this format, the text doesn't need to be shown on the screen. So the reason for this text is probably in a situation whereby the video format isn't supported by the browser. So like I said before, the Safari browser in the iPhone, yeah, we all know the iPhone. So the Safari browser in the iPhone doesn't support video content with the .ogg extension. So that means that if, for instance, we had this to be Christmas dot, let's remove the MP4. We have this to be Christmas.ogg, and we save this and we render it on our web page, and then someone on the iPhone decides to visit with the Safari browser, the video would not appear at all. Rather, you would see the text appearing on the screen of that user, which is this content isn't supported by the browser. So that's the reason why the video and the audio tag by default they don't have any text within their tags, except it is to tell a particular user that, okay, look, the format of this thing that was meant to play on your phone isn't supported by your browser. So that basically means that the user would need to visit that web page with another browser that supports that format. So going back to the sound.html, would also have the same text written here. This content is not supported by your browser. Yes. So if the audio content was in a format, probably .ogg also, since the Safari doesn't support .ogg for video, I guess it does the same for audio too. So if you had this to be cultural.ogg, which is the OGG format, and you save this and render it on a browser or on your web page, your website, HTML document, and someone on the iPhone decides to visit that page, probably because he, likes your music, he wouldn't be able to listen to it because the browser he's using doesn't support that format at all. So rather than seeing the audio displayed, he would actually see this text embedded within the audio tag displayed on the screen. So I hope we all understand why the audio and the video elements don't have text in between their tags naturally, except they are to be used to, tell a user that okay, the format of this particular content isn't supported by your browser. But then the MP4 and the MP3 formats, which are very popular for the video and the audio content, it's probably the most popular content and it's supported across all types of browsers. So I think for that kind of reason, most developers do not really add this text at all. But then you can understand why this text could be important to you, if your audio or your video content isn't in a format that can be supported by a particular browser. So I hope we got this. Okay. So for the sake of this, let's just save it. So if we open with our live server, you also won't see anything on the screen because this browser supports this audio. So let's go back. Audio and video. So I think the class is at an end, and now we can take questions concerning anything we want to discuss across the video and the audio elements.
Hello, sir. Can I speak? Hello? Can I ask?
Okay, relax, I'm coming.
Okay.